Welcome to Perspectives, a podcast where the clergy women of the First United Methodist Church of San Diego share their musings on scripture, theology, and what it has to do with us. Welcome to Perspectives. We are so glad that you have joined us. This is week 4 of our series on Our Money Story. We're looking at stories of Scripture to talk. You just gave a mini golf clap there because you're not liking this series. Is that what that came from?
I just don't like stewardship season.
Stewardship season. Oh, it's so much bigger than just money.
I know.
It's so much bigger than just money.
Yes.
And that's why we're talking about all sorts of different kinds of scripture lessons.
Yes.
And today's itself, you would not think it is a word about money. Mm-hmm. It's a word about stewardship, though. Yes. There you go. There you go. Stewardship is one of many things this is about. We are glad you're here to listen to our perspectives and our musings and our side notes and every little rabbit hole that we can think of. We hope you'll enjoy being with us today. It is the last of the money series, Our Money Story, the sermon series, and we're talking about responding. And the story that we are looking at is from the Gospel of John, chapter 21, verses 1 through 13. And this is how it reads. After these things, Jesus showed himself again to the disciples by the Sea of Tiberias. And he showed himself in this way. Gathered there together were Simon Peter, Thomas called the twin, Nathanael of Cana in Galilee, the sons of Zebedee, and 2 others of his disciples. Simon Peter said to them, I'm going fishing. And they said to him, we'll go with you. So they went out and got into the boat, but that night they caught nothing. Just after daybreak, Jesus stood on the beach, but the disciples did not know that it was Jesus. Jesus said to them, Children, you have no fish, have you? And they answered, No. So he said to them, Well, cast the net to the right side of the boat, and you will find some. So they cast it, and now they were not able to haul it in because there were so many fish. The disciple whom Jesus loved, said to Peter, It's the Lord. And when Simon Peter heard that it was the Lord, he put on some clothes, for he was naked, and he jumped into the sea. But the other disciples came in the boat, dragging the net full of fish, for they were not far from the land, only 100 yards off. And when they had gone ashore, they saw a charcoal fire there, with fish on it, and bread. And Jesus said to them, Bring some of the fish that you have just caught. So Simon Peter went aboard and hauled the net ashore, full of large fish, 153 of them. And though there were so many, the net was not torn. Jesus said to them, Come and have breakfast. Now none of the disciples dared to ask him, Who are you? Because they knew it was the Lord. Well, Jesus came and took the bread and gave it to them and did the same with the fish. This is one of those resurrection appearances in the Gospels. This one appears only in the Gospel of John. It's got a lot of really interesting pieces to this story. There's a lot going on here. Some of it feels like it should be important information, but it also, on the same token, it seems to be just like a toss-away thought. Let me just add that, there were 153 fish. Yeah, all of those little kinds of things, right?
Yes. And I thought the Gospel of John ended in chapter 20.
That's one of the most interesting things, right? Yeah.
And they stated the purpose of the book, and someone added this part in.
That's right. The verse right before this one that begins, it says, let's see, but these things are written so that you may come to believe that Jesus is the Messiah, the Son of God, and through believing may you have life in his name. And I can see the audience standing up and clapping because that's the end of the show.
Yes.
There it is, all done.
Yes.
And then there's the verse 1 that just comes. After these things, Jesus showed himself again.
So it must have been really important whoever that was,
Right.
to add that story into this. After the
Yeah.
sermon is over, can you
That's
imagine?
right, that's right.
You finishing a sermon and I come to the lectern
Right.
and start sermon too.
There you go. There you go. There you go.
So,
Right?
there's gotta be some special meaning that we need to dig in.
Well, let's
And
look at this
this.
story.
Yes.
Let's look at this story.
Yes.
What do you see?
I see a little bit combination of miracle story and then relationship in this, and the feeding the multitude and Eucharist. It rings a bell in my mind as something for the early church. This was written for a little more established church, for them
Yeah.
to remember the resurrection
That's right. Yeah.
in a different light.
Yeah.
And it's not just about following Jesus. It's also about how do we maintain this community?
Yeah. Yeah.
How do we belong together?
Right. Okay. Okay.
So I see a little bit of that
Yeah.
in this story. What do you see?
I can see the way in which it could be for the church a little bit older. You know, the Gospel of John was written late. And I can see this story in particular being a nice addition for a church that may have lost its way a little bit, maybe kind of forgot some of the key elements of what they needed to be thinking about. In fact, some of the commentaries that I read said that this is a recommissioning story,
Yes.
right? So they were called once before, but they needed to be reminded that they were called
Yes.
again, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and this story is very close to the story in the Gospel of Luke when Jesus calls the disciples for the very first time, right? Chapter 5, this story and the Lucan story says that the men were out fishing and they were not catching any fish.
Yes.
And so Jesus tells them to cast the net down one more time, try it again. And there's so many fish in both stories. They can barely pull it. In fact, I love it. It says they filled the boat with all the fish such that they began to sink.
Yes.
I love that. I love that little detail.
Yes.
And then Jesus, at the end of both stories, essentially says, "Follow me."
Yes.
Once
Calling
again,
story.
I want you to respond to what it is you're seeing. This is a call.
Yes. An invitation for
Yeah.
them to join Jesus.
Yeah.
And so in this story, the way you explained it makes sense because in Luke there's two different stories where the same story is divided into two. But here, this John or whoever wrote this
Right.
gospel is combining them and feeding them
Yeah.
and recommissioning them
Yeah.
to
yeah.
do likewise or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah. Yeah, there's that element similar to Luke in the resurrection of the walk to Emmaus, when in the breaking of the bread, right? Jesus is breaking bread with them again.
Yes.
Yeah.
And before breaking the bread, in Luke's story and also in this, they didn't know who this was.
That's right.
It
That's
took them
right.
a little minute
Yeah. Yeah.
for them to realize.
And in the Lucan story, Peter, when Jesus, you know, whom he has just met, produces an abundance of fish, Peter knows enough to say, "Oh, you are somebody special." Essentially, in fact, he says, "Go away from me, for I am a sinful man." Right, and he's a sinful man. In the Gospel of John, this story comes after Peter has committed probably the most horrific sin that he ever could have, the denial of Jesus 3 times, right?
Yes.
So there's that story built into this too,
Yes,
right? So
yes.
yeah, you're right. This Gospel of John has so much more.
Yes. And thinking about sometime must have passed before this insertion happened.
Yeah.
And you see in the story a careful and deliberate contrast and contrast
Okay.
appears again, and before the dawn and after it becomes lighter, and then there was that emptiness in their own effort and the fullness
Right.
after they followed.
Yeah.
Can you imagine yourself, me, asking you, can you change your
Right.
pronunciation on this?
Right.
On this English word?
Right.
Jesus is telling these fishers
Yeah.
where to cast nets.
Yeah.
So
Right.
the instructions about fishing comes from a non-expert,
Yeah.
and they tried something different and new,
Yeah.
and that worked. So there's a lot of unexpected
Yeah.
exchanges.
Yeah.
Here.
Yeah. Yeah. This story, what I really catch onto with this story is, and even the first story, the one about in Luke about the fishing and the first call story, at least in this story, the disciples have been fishing all night. They've tried it all, as you said. They're experts. They know what they're doing. You know, they've tried it all. They had been prepared to catch fish. That preparation didn't result in anything. They were waiting and waiting and waiting. They were so disappointed. It was just this horrible night.
Yeah.
And the last thing they want to do is try again, right? And it seems to me, though, that that kind of preparation and waiting and disappointment is also part of their experience of Jesus in following Jesus, right? A lot of preparation as they sat at his knee and listened to him teach, as they watched him do miracles.
Gave up everything.
Gave up everything. They were there. They were preparing for something because Jesus was so larger than life, if you will, for them, right?
First time in their life.
Absolutely. Preparing to be able to learn from him and to understand him. And then and then they're waiting to see just what he's going to do, right?
Yes.
And they did not expect him to be crucified.
No.
And so that same kind of preparation and waiting, and then such disappointment, right? And it's in the midst of the fishing night. That's a little bit easier to grasp than the whole journey with Jesus. But there is something very real about nobody wants to try again when they've been hurt so bad. Nobody wants to just say, oh, well, maybe that side will work. Nobody wants to hear that.
No.
Nobody wants to even get
Why
up
don't
and
you
do
come
anything
and do
again.
it for us?
That's right. Right? Yeah. And it makes me, I think about my own sense of call story, right? You know, responding to what you know God has done, right? And you feel it and you see it and you know there's something special, and I want to share this with the world, right?
Yes. Why are you chuckling?
Well, this might sound bad.
Okay, say
You
it.
know,
Go ahead.
you know, I love every church I've ever served.
Yes.
Let me just say, yes.
They're listening.
But, I know, right? Yes. But there, you don't know what it's going to be when you say, "Yes, God, here I am," and you want to respond, but then you get into these places where not everybody's prepared and they're waiting for you to do it all, and then there's deep disappointment in what it is that you can do or what you can't do, and we're disappointed in the way the church is or is not. I mean, there's that same kind of rhythm to answering the call. I mean, it's just a constant, I think, this prepare, wait, disappointed somehow, but you get back in it again and you do it again. And you do it again. And you do it again.
Yes.
Am I right? Is that your experience?
Yes, and until something you feel completely depleted, like you have exhausted every possible energy and efforts and knowledge you have.
Yeah.
And you come to this place. And in total emptiness,
Yeah.
and you find Jesus
Yeah.
humorously inviting you to sit down.
You look like you were tearing up.
Oh no, I
Were
wasn't.
you? Were you?
It's my life story, call story.
Yeah.
All embedded in
Yeah,
me.
yeah.
And there's
But you're right. There is something that is at play and in tension with the response to the call. We take such responsibility when we respond to what God is doing in our life. Responsibility to share it with others so that they hear and do this, so that the church grows, so that people's lives are changed. Whatever it is, we take such responsibility and we forget that it's really nothing more than us saying, "Hey, check it out, try it." And we don't have any control over the rest of it. And God is at play a heck of a lot more than we give God credit for. We think we have to do it all.
yes.
Yeah.
God is the ground on which we stand and air we breathe.
Yeah.
And when it comes down to the life of the church.
Yeah. Yeah.
And sometimes we play bigger role. We
Yeah.
tend to play bigger role than we are assigned to.
Well, yeah. I think what I like about this story, if we look at it as a call story and compared to the earlier one in Luke, I like that Jesus feeds them.
Yes.
The response might be to try again, but Jesus is there by the charcoal fire with bread to break with you and with nourishment for whatever it is you need, And if we can hold those things in tension, the responsibility, the respond ability, right? That doesn't become too overly responsive. And if we hold the idea that we can be sustained, nourished, when we return to the fire where we find the resurrected Christ.
Yes, and I don't know if you understood this. This is the model where I take my small group ministries with.
Okay.
And
You
there's-
feed them.
I don't pay for their food, but
Well,
I gather around
Sure,
fish. You bring your
yeah,
fish, we
yeah.
share, and
Yes,
and
exactly.
there's that sacredness in this ordinary moment.
Right.
They went back to their previous career,
Right.
and they
Yeah.
found themselves
Yeah.
not being able to catch any fish, and then
Yeah.
they tried everything they knew, and they were exhausted, like you said, didn't want to do anything more, but tried one more time
Yeah.
and recognized that this is the Lord,
Yeah.
and then sat down with him,
Yeah.
and Jesus, yes, fed them, but Jesus didn't feed them, period. Jesus fed them and asked them to bring more fish. Jesus already had food for these people. Why did Jesus
There you
ask them to
go.
bring more fish?
Oh. Wow, yeah, 153 more, huh?
Yes. So they had this abundance of 153 fish. I don't know if they counted, but someone had that idea. It symbolizes an abundance.
Yeah, it does.
So you have this 153 fish. So bring some more. Jesus didn't ask them to bring everything they caught because he taught them how to catch these fish.
Right.
But Jesus asked them, bring some more fish.
And what story does that remind us of? The boy with the loaves and fishes.
Yes.
Right?
Feeding the multitude. That was also in Luke.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
combination of both stories as a reminder
Right.
for the early Christian
Right.
community who are forgetting
Yeah. Yeah.
all those
Yeah.
first-hand experiences.
I think we've forgotten sometimes, right? Our experiences are different, obviously, than the apostles and the disciples. But I also think we forget that it is about experience.
Yes.
It's not about the word
Yes.
or the belief
Yes.
or the doctrine or the service. It's about the experience
Yes.
of where we find God and being able to invite others into that experience. That idea that we respond to what we've experienced.
Yes.
And that response is a matter of stewardship.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Of all kinds, of our time, our talents, our treasures. I mean, all of that,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
I have to say I didn't dislike this stewardship series because this was the first stewardship series that I actually got spiritually and emotionally engaged with, and I wrestled with every
Okay.
week's text and
Yeah.
did my
Yeah.
faithful engagement with all those
Okay.
lessons we were hearing.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
you brought a brilliant text to this.
Mm.
Jesus provided
Yeah.
abundantly to
That's
the
right.
disciples.
That's right.
And Jesus
Yeah.
fed them,
Yeah.
and Jesus is inviting them
Yeah.
to participate.
There's one more thing I want to add around this story.
yes.
So I've always had in my mind, right? There's in the Gospel of John, there's the disciple whom Jesus loved, right? But then in the other synoptic Gospels, Peter seems to be the favorite, right? And it feels like there's this little bit of competition between, the early churches, and no,
Yes.
John is the one. No, Peter is the one.
Yes.
Right? And here they are both in this story. And they react very differently.
One recognizes Jesus and the other one responds.
That's right. One recognizes Jesus, but in a very kind of contemplative way, right? A little bit more like, that's the Lord, right? The light bulb goes off, right? And Peter needed that light bulb to go off in the other disciple
To act.
to be able to act, right? And it really is this wonderful reminder that we are not in competition. That the way you preach the word is not the way I preach the word, but we need to hear your word too, right? And my word, and everybody has the opportunity to respond, and they're all going to be different responses. And we need all of them, right? We need the way the contemplative one who's going to recognize and see things that others might not. And we need those who are going to be able to act and do it impulsively and clumsily, but get it done anyway, right? We need the widow's mite, and we need those people who are going to welcome the disciples in as they're sharing the good news all across the Mediterranean world, and they have no job. We need those who are wealthy and those who are not. We need all sorts.
Yes.
Right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And this gospel edition seems to be saying, you all are needed in this faith community. Bring your own fish, join us, and let us move on. And think about the order of those gospels written. The Gospel of John was written the latest. And think about an addition that was inserted into this. Must be much later,
Right.
much later than both Peter and John's lifetime.
Yeah.
Probably after their death, fighting
Right.
over
Oh, absolutely.
their disciples.
That's
There's
right.
a sentence that goes, someone's disciples, two of, where was it? Thomas called the twin, Nathanael of Cana in Galilee, the son of Zebedee, and two others of his disciples. So there are multiple people
Yeah, that's right.
featured in this story.
That's right.
And think about the ways in which this author was trying to remind them of Jesus' movement in the life of the church.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
how they all needed differently gifted players in the
Yep.
church.
Exactly. And I think this little added on story reminds us that the story is still being written. The canon may have closed, but the story is still being written. I mean, that's part of the theme of the whole money story, right?
Yes.
We know what God's money story is, what's ours, and how does it reflect?
Yes. And if we didn't believe in the story continuing through us and beyond us,
Yeah.
we would have been crazy to be into this.
Absolutely. We definitely would not have tried again. We would have settled with the disappointment. Don't do that. Don't do
Yes. And also what I see here from our conversation is that this is a story of abundance. They caught enough fish to feed everyone. Jesus' intention was to everyone in the community.
Yeah.
There's no
Yeah.
exclusion in their group.
Yeah.
And also, there was an abundance, both in the miraculous catch and feeding people, but there was nothing personal in this story. So the catch was about to be
Right.
shared with the entire community,
Yeah.
and their feeding involves everyone. So it was very community-oriented addition in this gospel.
Hannah, you always surprise me with some wonderful insights. Thank you for sharing them for us today. That was great. I love most, especially the way we were wondering, okay, what's the scripture again? And you said, oh, it's about the fish. And I said, yeah, the resurrection story. But, you know, she's a foodie, so she went with the fish first.
Yeah, that's what I remember the most.
Thank you, Hannah.
You're welcome.
And thank you for listening.
Yes, and I'm so glad that we have this opportunity to talk about things, and I invite others to join us either in our convergence group or start talking to whoever you're listening to us with, or
Join Patreon.
Yeah, Patreon.
Patreon. Join Patreon.
.com/FUMCSD.
Love to hear you.
Yes, we would love to hear your feedback, and our feedback. So with that, I would like to invite those people to consider these questions in your own conversation or reflection. Have you ever had to keep trying even when there were no results from your efforts? Have you ever responded no to God? Have you ever said yes and were unexpectedly blessed in doing so?
That's kind of the whole totality of my ministry.
Yep.
Unexpected blessings.
Yeah.
Until next time.
See you next time.
This is a production of First United Methodist Church of San Diego. To learn more about our events and ministries and to access additional learning resources, visit FUMCSD.org.